everybody. Welcome to another edition of Vanessa's Journeys. Hello, 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 and welcome to 2022. Can you imagine? I remember when I was a teenager thinking that, 19 whatever was, wow, a huge year. Now we're in 2022. The world keeps going on and on and on, and so does ministry. English. We have been on holiday for most of January. However, I was still working with one young man who has been struggling with his school assignments with his college. So I continued to work with him during the winter holidays. But schools are starting back this week on Monday. The students in Mukataba are going back to in-person learning. And that means that my schedule will start getting busy as well. I will have my private classes, I guess you could say, my one-on-one classes, but Village will start a week from this Friday. So we'll start Village when we have a full month to get them back into the swing of things. So I still have one more Friday off in the Village. Playaba starts again this Thursday, as a matter of fact. January we had off. I was there at the end of December. And I'll go back to Spayaba this Thursday. Please pray. Speaking of Spayaba, we've had a lot of snow and cold here in Mukataba in the transportation region, actually in Kiev as well. And pray for the roads, for the highway that I travel on. Pray that the roads will be clear and that we won't have any snowstorms on Thursday when I go to Spayaba, so that I'd be able to get there and get back without stressing out. But I'm looking forward to getting back into the swing of things, and I am really looking forward to getting back with my students again and teaching them and just talking to them and getting to know them a little better. Now, people have been writing me, asking me, Vanessa, are you okay? What's going on with Russia? How are you doing? What are your plans? So I just thought that I would give you an update as far as I know about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. So, yes, Russia has their troops at different areas on Ukraine, and yes, they are planning, stated, on invading Ukraine, but for me, I'm staying. For one thing, I live in the west of Ukraine, and the city that I live in used to belong to Hungary. So if something happened, Mukataba would probably get bought back by Hungary or become part of Russia again. But at any rate, as for now, I'm staying. And like I mentioned in my last update, what we are planning on doing is stocking up on supplies, you might say, buckwheat, potatoes, rice, that sort of thing, that we can give to the refugees, those who are coming from the east and escaping the war and coming over here to the west. And some are coming to the west, and then they eventually move on to Europe if they can. That we want to be able to serve them physically and spiritually as well. And we want to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. But we're also being proactive, as you might say. We're keeping an eye on what's going on and being informed of everything. Basically, we want to help. We want to help those who are fleeing. Sometimes they flee with just the clothes on the back. And so how does that look like? We had churches here in Mukataba that really served the refugees in 2014 when Russia first invaded. But those churches have split up and become different churches and that sort of thing. And they're not able to do on the grand scale of what they did before. And so that's something that we're desiring on doing. And what does that mean? Does that mean housing them? We don't know. Does that mean feeding them? We don't know. Does that mean giving them clothes? We don't know exactly what that entails, but we are right now getting our mind set and our spiritual hearts ready to serve. Because it's never about us. It's about what God desires. Just to remind you that the war has been ongoing since 2014, since they first invaded and tried to invade Kiev. Russian troops and Ukrainian troops have been on the border since 2014. However, at this point, it seems from the news that we are getting that the troops have enlarged. They have troops on 3 different areas situated to get into Ukraine. And they want Kiev, and they want other areas of Ukraine as well. What will they get? We don't know. We will see. And there's rumors of cyber attacks and this thing. We don't know exactly what's going on. And for you in the States, I don't know where you're getting or what source your news is coming from. But something my mom has always told me is to filter what you hear from the news, because the news likes to heighten things. So, we are on alert. And yes, the American embassy in Kiev has evacuated, but that's something that they always do in times of crisis. They evacuated in 2014, and they evacuated during the quarantine when the world shut down. And they're evacuating again. That's just an American embassy policy. But for myself, I'm staying. The Lord has not told me to go anywhere else. I have people that I minister to here, and I've lived here long enough that I developed close relationships. And for me, to leave would be saying, hey, I'm here in the great times. Let's have a good time while I'm here. Things are going bad. See you later. But that's not me. And I'm not saying that is anybody else. Everybody has to make their own decision. For me, to leave would be, personally, for me, it would be a bad testimony to those that I minister to. And English must go on. So we have students who will be wanting English, war or no war. And so that is what the Lord have put on my heart to do, is to teach English. And so I'm going to continue to do that, as well as continue to minister within the church. And speaking about ministry within the church, our church ministries are at a point of where restructuring, reconstructing how we minister to the community that we live in. One of the ways is Royal Rangers. As many of you know, I am involved in Royal Rangers, and Royal Rangers is kind of like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, but with more of a spiritual emphasis. I guess you could say it's like the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts when they first started, way back when. In Royal Rangers, we desire to meet the spiritual needs of the kids, as well as teach them life skills. And within that, we are restructuring how we're doing Royal Rangers. And those who are leaders are going to be in charge, or the commanders of certain groups. Then they will have leaders underneath them to help them as well. And so with that said, I got, I guess you could say, a promotion. I'm still the, hey, Vanessa brings all the cakes and the sweets lady, which I'll continue on doing, and I love doing that. But I also be charged of one of the younger groups. They're called the Dragons. And so I'll be the commander over the Dragons. And with that, just not to commander, but I'll be getting involved in each of the children's lives, getting to know their birthdays, what do they do in their free time? Do the girls have dance, or some of the boys have dance lessons as well? What do they do? Getting to know the families, going in and having tea with the families, or having a meal with the families, and getting to know the parents, and encouraging the children to serve their family and in different ways. So not just coming in on a Saturday and sitting down with the kids and doing Bible study and doing different activities that relate to the Bible study, but getting to know them on a really personal level. And with that, if they don't come to church, inviting them to church, inviting them to the different church activities. If they do come to church, then they see me at church, and that develops another depth of the relationship. And we'll be able to speak into their lives on a spiritual level, as well as being a friend. So I just don't want to be a commander and say, you do that, you do this, you do that, you do this. their friend, and I want to get to know them, and I want to get to know their families. So I'm really excited about this next semester, you might say, of Royal Rangers and what we are planning with Royal Rangers. With that, another reconstructing, or a new construction, you might say, is that one of my team members had a dream, a desire to open up a youth center. And this youth center would minister to the needs of the youth in the community. Starting out like a homework time. Kids coming here and doing their homework and having somebody available to help them. And praise the Lord, through a large donation, this is something that we're actually able to begin. And we are actually thinking of starting in March. So we're coming up in February, so that's a month. So within that, we're going to be reconstructing the church and having a cafe here, and we'll have computers where the children will be able to come and do their homework on the computers, teaching them how to write a paper the correct way, helping them learn how to even do computer programming and coding, and maybe eventually down the line, how to change the oil in a car, how to change a tire. Because some of these kids, the guys, they don't drive cars. It's not like America where everybody drives a car. But if they're with somebody, the guys are with somebody who does drive a car and needs help, they're able to help. Even the girls need to learn how to do that sort of thing, right? So the youth center is going to be an outreach to the community at large, and incorporating Royal Rangers into that youth center as well. And the vision is big, of course, but we're doing it one step at a time. And I believe where we're starting is with the homework center. We're really excited about this, and we're really excited to see how God is going to use this. We've invited a Ukrainian to be in charge of it, and this Ukrainian will be the first paid staff member of the youth center. She's really excited about it, and we're really excited about it, and looking forward to what God is going to do in her life, and as well as through the youth center. So please keep that in your prayers. Keep the Royal Rangers and the youth center, and of course, please keep Ukraine versus Russia, and myself and my team in your prayers, as we want to make the best decision possible how we can serve the refugees that are coming. We're also going to be opening up our Friday night. As some of you know, we used to have a Friday night here in the past where where kids, the youth, and adults as well, would come and kind of hang out. We'd have games that we have out. We would have lots of coffee, lots of tea, and the goal was always to evangelize, to share about Jesus. How can they have a personal relationship with Christ? Unfortunately, because of different circumstances, mainly the pandemic, Friday night shut down. And we've always talked about, are we going to reopen Friday night? What are we going to do with Friday night? And we haven't really done anything with Friday night. But now, because of the vision of the youth center and because of how things are reconstructed with Royal Rangers, we're also desiring to open up Friday night. Now, it's not going to be like it was before, where people just come and hang out. It's going to be more purposeful. We are going to be training Ukrainians on how to share, how to do evangelism, and how to have conversations with other people. So it's not going to be just a hang out, let's bring our friends and play some games and have coffee and drink tea and hang out and play the guitar all night, but it's going to be a more purposeful, directed Friday night with evangelism and some games, but a real time of sharing and learning about the Lord. If you already know the Lord, how to grow in Him and to grow in His Word. So that's kind of what's been happening. It's been very cold here. We've had about 20 Fahrenheit weather. I think in the evening it gets down into the upper teens. The forecast says it's supposed to be warming up by next week into the low 30s. Yay! Still cold, but not as cold. So we've had some great times since it's been holidays, kids going sledding, and doing snowball fights and that sort of thing. Like I said, English is starting anew this week. All my tutorings will be starting again. I have one new client that I'll be doing online. She is transferring to a school abroad next year, and she wants to have some English conversation. So that makes my afternoon schedule very busy and very tight, but for me, it really gives me the opportunity to share about the Lord. In fact, I have one student, I assigned to her to read the book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And now she's not a believer, she doesn't know anything about God, except for what she's taught in the Orthodox Church. But she finished the book, and we had an opportunity to talk about who Aslan represents, and the children and who they represent, and who the White Witch represents. And I was able to talk about God, and I was able to talk about Christ, and how he sacrificed his life for us. Now he rose again on the third day. And that was very interesting for her. She said she's never heard anything like that before. So, yes, I teach English, but the Lord also gives me opportunities to share about him and to minister to my students. This one young man who is studying in Slovakia, who I was working with over the holidays, I've been able to really minister to him and to really help him to learn how to become more disciplined in his life and his studying and in his free time, and learning how to respect his mom as well. As hard with teenagers respecting their moms. Not all, but some. And I believe that this has made an impact on his life. His mom has said that he's changed in some ways. In some ways he hasn't. He still has some work to do. But don't we all? We're all a workmanship of God, all in process. So please be praying, of course, for Ukraine and Russia. Be praying for all the reconstruction and restructuring and new structuring of the church ministries of Royal Rangers, and how we are becoming more purposeful with Royal Rangers and with Youth Center, and how the Lord desires to use Youth Center in the life of the community here in Mukachva. If you have any questions about the war, about what's happening with Ukraine, about what's happening with Russia, or about my status, please shoot me an email or a private message. I'm on Viber as well. If you have Viber, I'd love to answer your questions if I can. But just keep us all in prayer. We never know when or if Russia is going to decide to invade, but we want to be on alert, and we want to pray, and we want to make sure that our hearts and our spiritual lives are ready to be used for the Lord. Because that's what it's all about, and that's what I'm here for, is to be used by God. So, I'm excited about this new year, and I'm excited to see how God desires to use me in this new year, in this 2022, with everything that's going on. I believe it's not going to be just English, but there's going to be some more discipleship going on. So praise the Lord. Thank you all for your prayers and your support. You've helped me out so much. You can't even imagine. And I look forward to talking to you next month. So with that, bye!